Hello everyone, welcome to this video, and this time we will talk about sign language. So communication between cultures is facilitated by the availability of a common language. However, in instances when there is no common language between persons involved in the spoken communication, then that's the time the use of sign language through body language comes handy. So if we will go back to our prior knowledge with regards to communication, it simply means interaction or exchange of ideas. And part of this communication is the language, which means the system of communication or the system of exchanging ideas or information. And based from our previous knowledge, we've learned that in communication process, we have two ways. We have the spoken and the written communication or the written language. And the common version of it is the two, the verbal communication and the non-verbal communication. However, as being mentioned, there are instances that verbal communication is not possible. So, in the absence of a common language, that's the time non-verbal communication will come in. And part of this nonverbal communication is the so-called sign language. So sign language can be the most practical solution if there is no verbal communication present in the communication process. Now, maybe you would ask, what is sign language? Basically, we have different definition about this so-called sign language. And if you are going to look into the definition in it in a dictionary, simply means language that uses the visual, um, manual modality to convey meaning. And if we also say sign language, it is expressed through manual articulations in the combination of non-manual elements. And it simply means, or in layman's term, if we say sign language, it employs signs made with the hands and other movements, including the facial expression, the posture of our body, or the body movement used primarily by people who are deaf or cannot hear, or in other term or in other word, people who cannot speak. So that is the very common definition of sign language. Now, sign language is a visual means of communicating through the hand signals, gestures, facial expression, as I've mentioned earlier, and also the body language. It is the main form of communication for those people who are deaf or who do not, those people who cannot hear and hard of hearing community. But sign language can be useful not only for those people who are deaf and hard of hearing community, but this is also useful for other groups of people as well. People with disabilities in particular. So people with autism, aphasia of speech, cerebral palsy, and Down syndrome may also find this sign language beneficial for them in terms of their communication. So as you will see in the different languages that we encountered, it has even had other uses throughout the history. So basically, the sign language that we have in mind, is the only sign language that we've known. But if we will really study sign language, there are different types or what we call varieties of sign language. Now, as being mentioned, most people start their sign language journey by learning the A to Z or alphabet equivalent in sign form. This is an example. I'm sorry. Um, this is an example of a sign language gesture. We have hello, the goodbye, nice to meet you, yes, no, please, thanks. We also have this one, the 5 wives and the 1 husband, and this one. These are common. Okay, as you start your journey on learning sign language, you are going to encounter and you have to be familiar on these things. However, if you're just very new in sign language, you need first to develop the basic alphabet of sign language. And this is the basic alphabet of sign language. So the use of our hands to represent individual letters of a written alphabet is called finger spelling. So we have A, B, C, D, E, so on and so forth. So you would say how these finger spelling works and what really the importance of it. Well, definitely this is an important tool that would help signers or people who involved in the sign language manually spell out names of people. Manually, that means if I would say my name is Glazer, I will just say like this, E, Z, E, and the R is like this. This is the R. So if I am talking to someone who cannot speak or who cannot hear, I will just spell it out my name through this finger spelling. So it is really important to know this sign language alphabet. And however, these things, you cannot really sure that all people who are deaf, who are those people who cannot speak are familiar with this. So that's the reason why we need first to develop this sign language alphabet so that we can able to communicate to them. And along with it, we need also to incorporate this alphabet into this one. We have common expressions. Common expressions that we can use for them to be able to understand what we are trying to say. And accompanied with these gestures are our facial expression. Facial expression is very important as well for them to be able to understand what we feel, what we are trying to tell to them. So that's it. However, since we are talking about sign language, we have to take note that there is no single sign language used around the world. So like spoken language, sign languages develop naturally through different groups of people interacting with each other. So there are many varieties of sign language. We have to take note of it. There are somewhere between 138 to 300 different types of sign language used around the globe today. So just to mention, we have American Sign Language. We also have the Australian Sign Language and the British Sign Language. We also have Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish Sign Language. Now, signs are also not expressed in the same order as words in English. Okay? You have to take note of it. If you are studying sign language, you cannot assume that the same words in sign language are just the same words in English, because there are instances that signs cannot be expressed in the same order as words are in English. So this is because the unique grammar and visual nature of sign language. So like this example. So this is a unique feature of the so-called sign language. So these sign language comprise the hand signal, the shrugs, facial expressions, coded manual signals that reinforced through the use of words spelled out in a manual alphabet. So that's the reason why, as being mentioned earlier, this is expressed through manual articulation. So you need to do something that is manual articulation for the audience or the receiver um, understand what you are trying to convey. So that's what sign language trying to emphasize. Now, based from the knowledge, or since we already discussed this sign language, um, there are questions that would somehow come into your mind how the sign language goes on. Maybe, yes, we need to be familiar with the finger spelling, but how to do the finger spell? How to do the finger spell? Just simply, you can search on the internet. There are different videos about the tutorial, how to do the ABC, or just simply look at the picture and try to be familiar on the different signs. Now, how to, now this is the point now is we know how to do the finger spell, but how to improve our finger spelling that we are not looking like a newbie. So there are different tips that we need to consider for us to be able to improve our finger spelling. So you have to take note of these tips to improve our finger spelling if we really wanted to study sign language. So the first one is pause between spelling individual words. So individual words. So you have to pause between the spelling of the individual words. This improves the comprehensibility of your signing. So for example, the one that I've made earlier, I spell out my name. It's G. So I need to pause every now and then so that the person that I'm talking with will comprehend what I'm trying to emphasize. So keep your hand in one place while spelling each word. So if I am pointing my hand in this corner, I should end like this. I will not do like this and like this and like that. So it should be in one place only. This can take practice, take note of it, but it makes it much clearer for others to read back. So an exception to this is when you are finger spelling an acronym. In this instance, move each letter in a small circle to let people know not to read the letters together as a single word. And the next one, keep your finger spelling hand at the height of your shoulder. This one, height of your shoulder, not like this, not like this, but in the height of your shoulder. This is the most comfortable position of your signing and the other person's reading. So if we were talking with each other and I need to like put this one, this is the comfortable position of my hand. And keep your pace consistent. So you need to be consistent in all aspects, especially in sign language. You should not be fast and you should not be slow. Just the normal pacing. There is no need to race through when spelling a word. Okay, no need to rush things. No need to like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. You don't need to do that. It's more important that each letter is clear and the overall rhythm is consistent. So that's very important thing that we need to know on how to improve our things if we are going to study sign language. So that's it for this video, and please keep on watching for my next videos.